Good morning. Happy Friday. So are y'all so proud of me? I actually set up my ring light today. Sorry, I know you can kind of see my laptop, but I like to go live on Facebook and on Instagram simultaneously. So that way I can actually download hi Francis. So that way I can actually download the video on my Facebook. So I'm going to dive right into the Q&A. I've gotten tons of great questions. If you have any other questions, hi Mackenzie, hi Sarah, hi Mara. If you would, just let us know what you do, what's your name, what you do, what's your name, where you're tuning in from. That would be fantastic. So, like I said, I've gotten a ton of good questions this week, so I'm just going to dive right in. First of all, I keep getting questions, hi Kim, questions about the question answering bots. So if you tuned into my live last Friday, or if you're a member of my Facebook group, Molly's Instagram Love, you know that I've been addressing this and been getting this question a lot. So question answering bots are essentially, you know that Instagram, people love to cheat the system, right? Everybody's all about some quick fixes and some hacks and whatever. So I'm just gonna do this because my OCD is driving me nuts. This picture's not, there we go. So there is automated software that will literally come in and answer your question stickers. Yes, answer your question stickers in your stories. And you'll know that they're bots because they aren't real answers. It'll be like, hi at Love and Grace Doula, or like, it'll be a silly question like, would you rather go to Paris or Rome? And you're like, what? Like, so what you can do about them? Well, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do, but you can go report them as spam. There's no way to report the actual, report within the comment itself or the question, the spam response itself. But you can go, I have a tutorial, a step-by-step tutorial video on how to report them as spam. Mara, maybe you can grab that link and throw it in here. Where you literally just go and report. It takes a while, but I'm like, hey, let's make this a better Instagram, make it a better community for everybody. So I literally go in and report every single one of those accounts as spam. So, hi Mandy. Okay, so with that being said, I think if we continue kind of reporting these bots as spam, and then also just Instagram is really good about like cracking down on automated bot behavior, and it'll just be the next thing to get, they'll get caught. Their accounts will get shut down or frozen, and we won't have to worry about it. And they'll be on to the next thing that they can figure out how to try to cheat the system and hack. So I hope that answers that question. One way around it, I've been, instead of posting thank you, Mara, she just posted the YouTube video. That's how you report people. Instead of doing the question sticker in my stories, I've actually been you know how when you're watching someone's story, there's the message bar at the very bottom. So when you're creating your story, I'll literally just point down to that message bar and say, shoot me a DM. And hi, Caitlin. That's kind of how I've been getting around the bot responses, because that way people are actually having to send you a DM with the question rather than just some autoresponder. So I hope that helps. Okay, this is a fantastic question. Okay, she's not, I don't see her sign. Oh, Sarah, you are on, hi. Okay, she's on my Facebook. Sarah, your question I love. Oh, let me finish answering. How do bot operators benefit from getting into your account? So the reason, basically you're asking like the reason why they feel like this is beneficial, because you'll see if you go look at these people, a lot of them are real accounts or seemingly real accounts. They're not like random bot accounts. People get caught up in the vanity metrics, Kim, and they get fooled into thinking that if they can somehow scale their Instagram efforts, that it's going to be beneficial to them on Instagram. So they'll essentially, the reason they do that is just like the mass automated commenting, just like the mass automated following, just like the mass story watching, is they think like, oh, I'm smarter than the algorithm, and this automated software is going to make my account look like I'm super active on Instagram, which means the algorithm is going to favor my content because I'm super active on Instagram. But it's not real activity, it's fake activity, and the algorithm is smarter than you and any automated software. So that's why they do it, Kim, just to try to their hopes are if they're answering your question stickers that you're like, ooh, who is this person? And then you go look at their profile and follow them. That's the whole reason behind it. But obviously we know that that's a very stupid reason that doesn't work. Okay, so Sarah is in my Facebook group, and Sarah asked an excellent question, and I love this question. She asked what my thoughts are on how often you should be posting. And she said she was posting every day. Now she's posting 3 to 4 times a week, but she gets a ton of comments and it's very time consuming. Kim, you actually had replied, Kim's live on Instagram. Kim had replied that she had thought about, spending less time on it on Instagram as well. And Sarah wanted to know, she said it's very time consuming. She takes the time to reply to all 50 or 60 comments she usually gets with each post. She also said she posts on stories when she remembers. And hi, Brittany. And she asked if it was worth it in this kind of state of IG. Is this worth it to continue posting more? Okay, here's my answer. If you are getting engagement on a post still, then don't post anything else new on your grid. If a post of yours from 5 days ago is still getting comments, then just let it ride. Whenever you post new content on the grid, it essentially, I don't want to say stops your old content, but it bumps it down in the order because Instagram's going to then show your newer content. So if you're thinking, one of my favorite things to do is teach how to spend less time on Instagram, but still get the best results for your time. I have found personally, and I was actually just listening to a podcast this morning too about Instagram stories, and Instagram stories, there was a new study that came out that said, hi Sabrina, that stories are the fastest growing portion of the Instagram app. So it was kind of like, hey, if you're gonna spend time doing anything, I would be on Instagram stories. Sarah, I don't know if you had a chance to watch my Instagram stories webinar, but stories are first of all, don't really look at my account, because if you look, I haven't posted since December 3rd. So I'm not saying you should post as infrequently as me. This has been our busiest month yet, client work load wise. Mara, my assistant, and I have been slammed, and we've just had a lot of client deadlines. And so I've kind of had that cobbler's child syndrome to where I haven't had time to work on my own account. So I think a good rule of thumb is if you can post twice a week on your grid and make them really good posts, take the time to research good hashtags. Don't use the same exact hashtag set every single post. I think that, or even once a week, you're going to be better off doing that than trying to post multiple times a week just to churn out content. Obviously, it sounds like that's not really what you were doing, just because if you're getting 50 or 60 comments, then it obviously was good content. But Instagram stories are so much faster because literally, don't try to take the time to make your stories be this amazing, beautiful thing. I can't tell you how many DMs I get when I'm sitting in my pajamas with no makeup on, talking to the camera about whatever. So yeah, Instagram stories are where I would be spending. I would really have more of a daily presence. And Sarah, I did an experiment, not on purpose. It wasn't a purposeful experiment, but if I ever go without posting on my Instagram stories, my profile views drop by half. One half. They go down a ton if I don't post on my stories. So I hope that's helpful. A few tips for saving time with stories. I have a whole bunch of Instagram stories that we created in templates in Canva. And hi Nina, and I keep them all saved on my camera roll. And so if I'm ever not feeling super inspired or creative and don't want to do something native in app, then I'll just use those pre-done Canva stuff that I created. So Sarah says, I feel like my stories go out to crickets compared to the feed. I would just challenge you just to try to get more regular with stories, because right now your viewers aren't conditioned to going to your stories, right? If they're doing more on your feed. So, but again, with that being said, like if your posts are getting that much engagement, then, you know, just post less frequently and let it ride. Also consider using all of the features of Instagram, like kind of being like a well-rounded user. You know how like, if you're somebody who creates content, like anytime somebody consumes your new content, like you're so excited about it because you spent all that time. Think about Instagram that way. Like if they've put out a new feature and you're using it, then they're going to favor your account. So maybe shoot for one grid post a week and one IGTV post a week. Because the beauty of IGTV is you actually get a live link in your description, unlike, you know, captions where the links don't work. Also, the other, like I said, beauty of stories and just everything about Instagram in general, just like the direction that it's going, is that people are starting to favor like the real life stuff more than the perfectly filtered and curated stuff. And so that's why stories are really growing. And then you can do like, I know we talked about the question bots, but you can do like send me a DM and the polls, hi Sarah, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's kind of, I hope that helps. I don't mean to like go on too long. Yeah, and I would just say, I mean, I don't know, like that's just such a good question. And you really have to know if you're spending that much time. The other question you need to ask yourself, Sarah, is, sorry, there was another Sarah that jumped on Instagram. Sarah Tracy, the thing you need to ask yourself though is, are those 50 or 60 comments that you're getting converting to dollars in your pocket? I mean, who cares if you're getting 50 or 60 comments if that's not helping you achieve your goals? And I don't know what your goal. I need to look at your account more to see. You know, are you trying to grow your email list and get more opt-ins for your freebie? Are you trying to sell a program? Are you trying to whatever? Even if you are getting 50 or 60 comments, if that's not leading to that bottom line goal, then it doesn't really matter. So I hope that helps. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to ask me. But that kind of leads me to my next question. Lynn asked me how to get your story views up. And Lynn, I can't remember if you do this or not, but a really good rule of thumb for getting your story views up is to caption your videos. You don't have to, hi Rhonda, you don't have to caption it word for word. But just go look at any of my stories that I do. I'll just usually do like a quick little synopsis, because the latest stats I saw was that 35% of people watch stories with sound off. So think about it. If people are at work, or if you're in bed laying next to your toddler like I am half the time, which you shouldn't be on your phone doing that. It's really bad. That's bad health advice. But what's going to happen if you don't caption your videos, or you know, if people are just kind of like standing in line and they don't want to have the sound up really high, when people start tapping through because it's like, oh, it's a video, I have no idea what she's sitting here, it's just like, people are going to start tapping through, and that signals the algorithm that your story wasn't interesting. People weren't wanting to watch it. So then your content's not going to be as favored. So I know that that's an extra step. Like I said, I'm not saying you need to like caption everything verbatim. Just like give anybody who's watching, consider that they might be watching with the sound off, and give them like a brief little idea of what you're talking about. A quick time-saving hack, if you really don't have time and you really don't want to caption it and say it's like a, you know, 5-section Instagram story, on the first section of it, be like, hey, I'm about to do this whole story is about what lighting I use for my videos. Sound on if you're interested. That way the person knows from the beginning what you're going to be talking about and whether or not it's worth them like finding somewhere they can watch it with sound. Does that make sense? The other thing is hashtags. So I have a new assistant who started with me literally yesterday, and she said about a year ago she had a client who she would use that you can use up to 10 hashtags in an Instagram story. Now, to be honest, all of the training sorry, our weather went from 74 degrees to like 42 overnight. So I like feeling all like stuffy. All the training I've had and all the various like, I've done a lot of Instagram training, say not to use 10 hashtags in stories, to use like 1 or 2, and not to hide them, because you're more likely to have your story picked up if the hashtag is not hidden. However, hi, Medical Laser. Jamie, my new VA, said that she actually had some really good luck doing 10 hidden hashtags in stories. When I say hidden, you can like put them behind like a GIF or a question sticker or whatever, and that way people don't see them. But she said that was about a year ago. So I'm currently testing that with a client right now who has a lot of followers, just to see if it makes a difference. So far, it has not, but I've only been testing it for like 2 days. That's why this is kind of like a side note, but this is why I will always have one-on-one clients, even though my ultimate goal is just to grow this Facebook community, so I can serve more people. But I will always have one-on-one clients, because to me, you can take courses and watch YouTube videos and do whatever ad nauseum, but when you're like in the trenches actually doing it for clients, and I have clients of all different sizes and niches and all that, like you see what actually works. If you don't know where, if you hashtag a story where it shows up, so say you want to, let's talk about yoga, for example. Yoga is a very, very broad hashtag and probably not the best one to use, but let's just use it as an example. Type in yoga to Instagram, then hit tags. Go to the yoga hashtag. There'll be almost like a profile photo, if you will, for the yoga tag. And if it has the circle around it, you know, that like pinky red circle around it, that means that the yoga hashtag not only has posts, like you see, like, you know, people who use a hashtag in their grid, but it also has a story. Like yoga also has a story. So that's another good way to know what hashtags to use in your stories, is do a little research ahead of time. I don't always do this. I literally probably do this like 1/10 of the time, just for time purposes. But for example, I was posting for a client some like gluten-free and refined sugar-free cookies. Refined sugar-free didn't have a story, but sugar-free did, like currently had a story going. So I used sugar-free hashtag instead of refined sugar-free hashtag. Does that make sense? Gluten-free had a story, so I used the gluten-free hashtag. I actually need to go back and double check to see if it even got picked up, because just because you use the hashtag doesn't mean it'll get picked up and go into that story. But if you go watch those stories, like I said, I used the yoga hashtag example. So say you go to the yoga hashtag, go watch a yoga story. From what I've seen, the majority of the stories that get picked up, like from that hashtag, are ones where the hashtag is like big and visible, like yoga. So I don't know. Like I said, I am all about testing. That is not a sexy answer. People want to come on and be like, Molly, tell me what to do. And I'm like, well, I can give you best practices, and I can tell you definitely like what not to spend your time on. And I can tell you what's going to up your reach. I can definitely help you up your reach on all your grid posts, but like the majority of what you need to do is just try it, just test and see what works for your audience. And what is working now probably won't work 6 months from now. And that's super frustrating, but that's the name of the game. The best advice I can give you for Instagram, you want to hear my secret? Just, I was listening to this podcast. Do y'all listen to the Rachel Rodgers podcast, the $1 Million Badass podcast? It's so good. And she had Mariah Cause on, and she was like, just be effing followable. I don't know if Instagram will like censor me for saying the F word. So it was just be effing followable. Like if you lead with value and the majority of your posts are value centered, people are going to come to you and want to buy from you, period. So I'm not saying you shouldn't have calls to action and invite people to buy from you. But you know, that's kind of like my main advice there. Also using a geotag on your stories. So I wouldn't use a geotag that's like, this is just me, like my personal, like unless you're going to somewhere that's like huge, super big, like Disney World, you know, that would probably be a good geotag. That would probably be better than Orlando, because a lot of people go to Disney World. But if you're in a small town, I have a bunch of realtors I work with here in Gulf Breeze, Florida. And it's so funny, I was actually meeting with a new client. She's opening a new spa here in Gulf Breeze, and ran into another client who's a realtor at a small sushi place. And the realtor was asking me, okay, should I be tagging Gulf Breeze as my tag in my story, or should I be saying that I'm here at Rock and Roll Sushi? And I'm like, well, probably you need to say Gulf Breeze, because this is a small town and Rock and Roll Sushi is small. So very few people are going to be going to the Rock and Roll Sushi geotag to see who's there. You know what I mean? Whereas more people would be going to search the Gulf Breeze tag. like I said, it doesn't always, you know, if you're at Disney World and you want to see what Disney World stories and posts are going on, you would go to the Disney World geotag, not Orlando. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. I've gone longer than usual. I just had a lot of really good questions today. Okay, I've gotten this question so many times, how to get more followers. Okay, this is a very long-winded answer. So I'm gonna try to keep it short. Okay, I'm gonna do a 3-part series on this too on my post of how to get more followers. But first, I wanna say that I don't care how many followers you have. I don't think you should worry about it. I don't think it's important. I don't think it's something you should even worry your pretty little head about, because would you rather have 50,000 followers that don't buy anything from you, or would you rather have 50 followers and all of them buy from you? I mean, it's a no-brainer. Even if you are an influencer or trying to get a book deal or whatever, any agency that's up to date on current Instagram landscape, is that the right word, knows that the amount of followers doesn't mean anything. There's a free tool called Hype Auditor. It'll actually tell you the percentage of not just yours, but other people's followers that are legit. So I digress. But some good, like, just easy rule of thumb for getting more followers. For example, I just posted a story before I went live, taking a photo of my poor ring light that has my phone right now. It is literally duct taped together because of the move from San Diego to Florida. And I just ordered, have y'all ever heard of the Neewer ring light? It's like Neewer. Anyway, so I tagged, you know, using this old janky light that's duct taped together, but I just ordered the Neewer ring light. So I tagged Neewer, and I just did this, so I don't know if it's gonna work. But a lot of times then that brand or that account that you tag in your stories will then go repost your story. It's not always gonna be like your target market. Like I was making an Instant Pot recipe, like this was like a month ago, and I tagged Instant Pot in my stories, and Instant Pot reposted me. So, I mean, is that my target audience? Like probably not, because I don't do anything with Instant Pot if I'm not a food blogger, but I mean, still, it's a good way to get more exposure. Little side note, if you share someone's post to your story, so if there's like a big user that you really like and you go share one of their posts to your stories, they don't get notified that you have shared that to their stories unless you then go tag them again. Did you know that? So like, okay, Francis, you always post a lot of great recipes. So say I go share one of your recipes to my stories using that little triangle paper airplane button. Unless I go then tag you again, you won't know that I even added that to my story. So always go like tag that person again. So that way they know that you're sharing their content, and then they'll reshare. The only way you can reshare someone else's story is if they tag you, or like if you're just like taking a screenshot or something. There is a new feature. So I don't know if you know this about Instagram, but they roll out features in waves. So like, you know how not everybody has the music feature. Not everybody has like every feature that is available in Instagram, not every user has. They like roll it out in waves. So they're testing out a new feature. I don't have it, but it's where you can go look on your insights. Hey, Brittany. Oh, you're back. You are on here. It's where you can go look at your insights and see who has shared any of your posts to your stories. But like I said, not everybody has that feature yet. I just looked, I still don't have it. So yeah, it's best practice is just to go ahead and re-tag that person in your stories. That's one way to get more followers. Another is using really good hashtags in your grid posts. I usually try to stay the majority, I would say like 70% of my tags under that 500,000 mark. If you don't know how to look for that, let me know and I will definitely help you. So I try to stay under the 500,000 mark. And you also don't want to tag. You will be penalized if you use a hashtag that is not relevant to your post. So don't try to like jump on other bandwagon hashtags because you think like you're going to fool somebody. You need to use hashtags that are relevant to your post. Instagram is invested heavily in like image recognition software. So another question I get too is like, okay, sometimes I'll just do like a really cute photo of my daughter, and then like the post itself doesn't have anything to do with that photo, but I try to tie them in together. Like, that's fine. It's not saying like if you're posting about, email marketing tips, that your image has to say email marketing tips, but I think you get what I'm saying. And then also just using in the location. Like I said, talking about the geotags, that's another really good way to get discovered. I like to use local hashtags as well. I'm gonna use the Gulf Breeze example again. I was meeting with a different realtor yesterday, and I was like, okay, when you do your story, you wanna tag that you're in Gulf Breeze as like a location, but then also use the Gulf Breeze hashtag, which I know that seems redundant, but those are two different, like, some users are gonna go search for the Gulf Breeze hashtag and watch the Gulf Breeze story that was going. Some people are gonna go to the Gulf Breeze geotag and watch those. So it seems redundant, but you can use, if you're a local business, you can use a geotag and a hashtag that are similar. Like when I lived in Oceanside, California, I would use like Oceanside as my geotag and then use like Carlsbad as my hashtag, if that makes sense. So, all right, I've gone way longer than I normally go. If you have any other questions, let me know and I'll get to them in next Friday's live. Or if you're not already in my members only Facebook group, the link's in my bio, or just search Molly's Instagram Love on Facebook. I still, every Friday, for whoever tunes into my live, I've been throwing up that $1 trial link. So I have 1 month for $1 trial going to my Facebook group. Next week, I am doing live account audits every day. So super exciting. The link is mollycahill.com/FB group, right? Is that right, Mara? I said, or the link's in my bio. So, glad it was helpful. And like I said, y'all have a fantastic weekend. And oh, sorry, Sarah. How did I just see your post? Okay, we'll talk about that on the next one. Okay, all right. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great weekend, and we will chat soon.